So I'm about to do a series of videos, I don't think there'll be very many of them, about some of the trips I've taken on the private rail operators of Central Europe, especially the Czech Republic. RegioJet is one of these. And I figured that because the trip I was going to take on RegioJet didn't include any video from outside the train, it's kind of an unconventional railfan video. You don't get to really see the train. So I have some pictures here of some of their rolling stock and locomotives. On the trip that I took, if I'm remembering right, they had a Vectron, if I'm remembering right. So a Class 193 or Czech Railways Class 193. Czech Railways actually have a few of these. And these are actually leased. Apparently they have these also. The Vectrons are made by Siemens. The Trax locomotives, or the Class 386s, are made by Bombardier. And you can kind of see the Bombardier look here. Obviously very similar locomotives are used in Germany, but there are also very similar locomotives to this used in the Czech Republic by Metrans, who run freight services, especially intermodal freight. And they have these Deseros from Siemens also. These are pretty famous, but mostly for their use in other countries. I've never actually been on one of the RegioJet ones. And then there's the Talent, which is also very well known, again for mostly the services that Deutsche Bahn run with them in Germany. But apparently RegioJet used these in Slovakia. Then they have some old diesels, 721 class from the communist era made by ČeKD. And then they have a lot of these. These were sort of what they started their rail services with. So they're 162 classes. I have some videos of these already. And they're communist era. The passenger cars are mostly rebuilds. So you can see a lot of the České dráhy features here. The wood paneling here and the mirror. But they're in pretty good shape, actually. I'm sort of someone with mixed feelings about having private rail operators in countries that have national rail services. I think that in some ways it wastes resources. But it is true that RegioJet keep their fleet in very good condition. The prices are reasonable, sometimes less than České dráhy, and the luxuries on board are much more too. One of the things you can see in this photo in Smíchov is that you have graffiti all over the building, but the trains are actually clean. The rail yard is full of weeds, but the trains are clean. So there is a standard of maintenance on RegioJet which is respectable given how rough a lot of the Czech rail network is. Now another operator that I tried was Leo Express, or in English you'd probably call them Leo. They operate into Poland, especially Kraków. And this map is especially nice too because it shows a lot of the different private operators, not all of which I've ridden on. Flixtrain are very well known too, probably because of their bus services, which are also quite popular. But I've also been, of course, as I said, on Leo, but not to Slovakia, into Poland, because you can see they have two services, as well as a domestic service. Just, I guess they're saying Stare Mesto. Stare Mesto is a little bit deceptive because Stare Mesto simply means old town or old city, and that could apply to any number of old or original neighborhoods and cities, which could include Stare Mesto and Prague, actually. And then in the yellow, you can see RegioJet compete not only with České dráhy, but also with Leo. But they also run services down to Bratislava and Vienna. And I've been on this line many, many, many times on RegioJet and on České dráhy as well. But in the video, I go on a trip to Vienna, or Wien. although there isn't any footage after Břeclav, and I don't remember whether that was because of darkness or whether it was because of my battery going dead. But what do Leo Express have in terms of equipment? I kind of glossed over that. I did show one picture of the train. If you think these trains look a lot like the ones in my video of Patras on OSA, that's not a coincidence because they're also Stadler rail cars, like the ones used in Patras. I think that's my only OSA video at the moment in Greece. My only Greek rail video, actually. Notice it's a Stadler Flirt, which is not exactly the same because this one's standard gauge. The train that I took in Patras on the suburban service there was at least designed to be meter gauge. Since that time, I'm unclear on the status of the standard gauging of that line, although there's been a lot of talk about it. I apologize for my ignorance, but interestingly, the Greek rail system is very hard to get information about, actually, even when you're there. Whereas Leo Express are actually pretty well publicized. But you can see their Wikipedia page is nowhere close to as large as RegioJet's. I'm actually very fond of this Wikipedia page. I think it was very well done. It also details the bus transport that RegioJet run. They used to use their brand Student Agency for that, because originally they were that. They were basically an agency to provide services to students, which included their bus service. Now, they don't actually detail that here, but their classic, if that's the right word, bus service was between Brno and London Victoria Coach Station via Prague. So it was a very, very long trip. Just for laughs, let's see if it still exists. They seem to be saying there's one change, but that may mean something else. Let's take a closer look. So, apparently, they now run the Brno to Prague leg by rail and only put you on the bus in Prague at the Florence bus station, which is a change from the way it was years ago. So you go direct from Prague to London rather than Brno to London. Now, Leo Express, I took them from Praha to Krakow in Poland. A lot of Americans call it Krakow, but the correct pronunciation is in fact Krakow. So there's the schedule, or not actually a schedule, they give you the travel time, and they say they're sold out for these. The price is actually very, very low as offered here. €12.90. That's really, really nice actually. For a pushing 7-hour trip. Those trains, by the way, are much more luxurious than they look. Even though they're these EMUs, if you're inside one of these, it's actually much fancier than it looks. Which isn't to say it's as nice as RegioJet. Actually, RegioJet have nicer stuff. But also the other private operator is Arriva, and unfortunately I haven't been able to get as good information on them, and in general it doesn't seem like they're doing as well. I think because they're just not very well organized in the Czech Republic. I do have them in some of my other videos though, because they operate a service, last I heard, from Prague to Tabor via Benešov Prahy, so that route I've been on countless times, and I've seen them many times since they introduced the service in 2013. But it's complicated riding on them. Like, for example, you can't buy the tickets easily in Praha Hlavní nádraží, the main Prague station, if I'm remembering right. Whereas for RegioJet and Leo Express, it's really no big deal. But I'm running out of video here. I've got to cut this short and move to the actual videos I want to show you.